What if the trophies you chase are draining the bank account you never see? You spend hours polishing a resume, buying the newest gadget, or renting a sleek office just to look the part. The effort feels rewarding, but the cost hides behind the applause. It's a subtle tax that most people never notice. You upgrade a working phone because the latest model promises status, not because the old one failed. You finance a wardrobe for meetings, even though the content of your work hasn't changed. You pay for events that showcase you, not for the knowledge they provide. Each of these choices adds up, and the ledger stays invisible because the reward is social, not financial. In this series, we will break that cycle. I will share 6 grounded lessons that let you keep the benefits of achievement without the hidden drain. Lesson 1 is the performance tax. Ask yourself a simple question before any purchase or commitment. Would I still buy this if nobody knew I owned it? If the answer is no, the expense is likely serving an audience, not your own goals. Recognizing that moment creates space to decide differently. It's not about denying ambition. It's about aligning spending with purpose, not perception. When you see the tax, you can redirect resources toward assets that grow quietly, that compound without applause. The next lesson will show how to map true value against visible pressure. Stay with me as we turn the spotlight inward, and let the wealth you build be the kind you can't lose to a fleeting crowd. The next insight asks you to untangle self-respect from the things you let the world see. When you measure worth by the brand on your wrist or the size of the car in the driveway, you hand your confidence to a fleeting mirror. That mirror reflects a moment, not the steadiness that lives beneath it. Ask yourself, does the quiet confidence you feel when you finish a project matter more than the applause that follows? The quiet identity you nurture isn't austerity. It's a deliberate choice to let internal standards guide you, not the shifting expectations of a crowd. Notice how quickly comparison pulls the horizon of your decisions inward. One glance at a neighbor's upgrade can make a long-term plan feel urgent, and that urgency often leads to choices that serve the present image rather than future stability. What would you decide if the next few months didn't need to impress anyone? The third point builds on that foundation by urging you to create margin before you consider any upgrade. Think of margin as a buffer of time, cash, or mental space that gives you the freedom to decide, not the pressure to act. When you have that cushion, the urge to replace a perfectly good item with a newer model loses its grip. Instead of chasing the next purchase, you can ask, do I truly need this improvement? Or am I filling a momentary gap in perception? Do I have enough breathing room to evaluate the real value it adds? By establishing that pause, you reduce the pressure that fuels performative spending. The space you create becomes a quiet laboratory where choices are tested against long-term goals, not against the latest headline. This margin isn't a fixed number. It's a habit of stepping back, assessing, and only then moving forward. Spend on capability only when it links to a repeatable action, a course that you will practice daily, a tool you will use on every project, a health expense that becomes part of your routine. Those are investments that earn back through consistency. When the purchase is just a badge, it turns into a performance for others. The moment you buy a gadget to show it off, the value shifts from function to image. That shift erodes the very advantage you hope to gain. Keep the focus on the work you will do, not on the applause you might receive. Now consider the timing of visibility. The impulse to announce a new skill, a fresh purchase, or an upgrade is strong. Yet waiting creates a different kind of power. When you hold back, the audience cannot judge the move. The decision stays private, and you retain clarity about why you chose it. Without external pressure, you can test the new habit, see its impact, and adjust before anyone else sees the result. This silence also removes the need to defend the choice, allowing the process to settle into habit before it becomes a headline. Delaying the reveal also protects against premature comparison. If you wait until the benefit is evident, the story you tell later is grounded in experience, not expectation. The space between action and announcement sharpens focus. It forces you to ask, does this truly improve my work, or am I chasing attention? In that pause, the answer becomes clear, and the next step follows with purpose, not performance. Lesson 6 pulls the tension deeper. It asks you to look inside the habits that keep you chained to applause. The answer is a private scoreboard. On it you record promises you kept, useful work you completed, obligations you handled, and options you preserved. Each entry is a quiet proof of progress. It does not need an audience. It does not need a badge. It simply marks integrity. Family and friends may voice expectations. They may equate success with visible milestones. Listen with respect. Acknowledge their concern. Then state your own criteria. You are not rejecting their love. You are protecting your own rhythm. When pressure rises, return to the private board. Let it remind you why you chose this path. Now consider money as a tool, not a stage. You can enjoy it through utility by meeting real needs. You can enjoy it through joy by allowing experiences that lift the spirit. You can enjoy it through growth by investing in knowledge or health. You can enjoy it through performance by allocating resources that improve future capability. None of these require a crowd to applaud. They require only your own sense of purpose. A private standard is a fortress no crowd can enter. Build it stone by stone. Keep it tidy. Review it regularly. When you see a line ticked, feel the quiet satisfaction. That feeling is the reward that does not need to be shown. It fuels resilience. It steadies you when external noise swells. It lets you build wealth that lives beyond the spotlight. You can also let that wealth support others quietly. Choose causes that align with your values, not because they look good on a resume. The impact remains personal, and the gratitude stays inside. This quiet generosity reinforces the private scoreboard, adding another layer of meaning. Let's pause and bring the ideas together. First, we reminded ourselves that success is a personal definition, not a universal badge. Second, we saw how tying self-worth to external results can trap us in a performance loop. Third, we explored the power of directing energy toward the work itself, rather than the applause that might follow. Fourth, we learned to guard the hours that fuel our projects, treating time as a non-renewable resource. Fifth, we identified the value of assets that stay hidden, knowledge, relationships, reputation, because they compound without fanfare. Sixth, we practiced humility in consumption, recognizing that each purchase can either support or dilute our long-term goals. Now, take a moment to look at the 3 most recent items you bought. No judgment, just observation. Write them down. Note why you chose each and how they align with the principles we discussed. From that list, pick one change you can hold for the next 30 days. It might be delaying a non-essential upgrade, reallocating that money toward a skill, or simply pausing to ask if the item truly serves your purpose. Track the adjustment in a simple log. Notice any shift in how you feel about your resources, and let that awareness guide future choices. Remember, everything shared here is for educational purposes only. It does not constitute financial advice, nor does it promise any particular outcome. If this conversation resonated, consider subscribing for more thoughtful explorations. Build quietly. Let freedom become the proof. Choose substance over display, and repeat that choice until it becomes natural.